Here we are then, another Football Fun Factory podcast episode, and we always kick off by spinning the wheel to find out who is going to be the judge in the courtroom.
The wheel of glory. Let's go.
Are you ready, guys?
Good spin, Johnny. No, you've got to go round at least once. Give it a full spin.
Chadwick, you're in the hot seat. Let's go.
Here I am, the judge again. I'm not wearing a gown today. It's boiling hot outside. Sun's out, so I'm keeping it neutral. Is that okay with you guys?
Yeah, it's about 12 degrees outside, but otherwise,
you'll
be fine.
James, anything more than 10 and you burn.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's boiling hot. I agree.
So I'm going to start today by spinning the wheel to see what the first subject we talk about today.
Let's
ready?
spin it. Let's spin it.
Let's get it span. Well, that's a good spin as well. It felt good. Let's have a look. Oh, the old eyes are going.
The least enjoyable age group to coach, I think it says.
Okay. Need my glasses on. The least enjoyable age group to coach. So we had this question every week. The most enjoyable. So I'm interested to hear your views on this. And I'm going to start with Johnny. The least enjoyable.
Please don't say what I'm going to say.
Men's team.
Oh, Johnny.
Interesting.
I was going to say that.
Unlucky. A little bit more.
A men's team. Because, for me, coaching the children is far more enjoyable because you can put smiles on their faces, you can help shape them, you could make it really fun, and they love it, and they develop a long-lasting love for the game.
I know you have a real competitive edge against you as well, but you don't like that side of the game.
You play for a men's team, John. What are you talking about?
You're manager of a men's team.
Captain is captain. Sometimes manager.
Assistant captain. Assistant to the captain. I think men's team managing and coaching is great, but it's my least favourite out of all of it. Which is the question. So, 1-0 me. Next.
James?
Yeah, whoever goes first got an advantage.
I don't know.
Youth team. Youth team's worse than men's team.
Ooh.
Because just attitudes just absolutely stink at 17, 18 years old.
What, everyone?
Yeah, most of them.
That's a sweeping statement.
I just think that the youth of today, you just get to that age group where they all think they're going to make it. Hardly any of them do. Attitudes are not what they should be. Nobody's willing to put the work in. And let's be honest, at that age group, then the best that happens is they sign a pro contract, they get farmed out on loan, and then they get released at the end of it. It's almost impossible. What's the point? Football should just be for fun, I think.
What a cheery start to the podcast we've had today. It's a bit of a negative question, the least favourite group. Johnny, do you want to sort of question James on the youth team?
Yeah, I think from my experiences when I've worked with that age group, it's been thoroughly enjoyable. All the lads have had fantastic...
It's enjoyable. It's enjoyable, John. I never said that. I just said it's the least enjoyable.
Yeah, well, I think taking a men's team is slightly less enjoyable than what you're saying.
So why do you feel that the men's team, what is it about men's team football that or senior football, that is just like...
Bit too result-driven at that stage. Yeah. I think it's...
Isn't that the fun of football, though? So, like, when you're watching men's football... So, obviously, if you're taking an under-8s team, then you can go, it's all about the journey, it's all about the sort of development, progression, enjoyment of the children. With senior football, doesn't the enjoyment come from then the passion, the enthusiasm, they're trying to win the game, they get 3 points? That's where you're almost allowed that little bit of a competitive edge.
Yeah, agree with all of that. I just think when you're at that level, it then becomes so results driven. It becomes so dependent on the end result, on the scoreline. Someone makes a mistake, there's so much pressure on it. Then you're coaching that, and it's not the most enjoyable environment. In fact, it's the least enjoyable environment.
Like, what sort of level are you talking about here? That your
Premier League, any men's level. So whether it's the Premier League, whether it's a Sunday league, still. The end goal, of course, is to win the match. That's where the focus is.
So, Johnny, are you saying that all football should stop at 18 years old?
Are you saying 18 years old?
Objection, Your Honour.
Yep, upheld. Carry on.
What does that mean?
It means
Are you saying, Johnny, answer the question, that all football should stop, quote, Johnny Martin at 18 years old?
I'm not saying that, Your Honour. Jury. I'm saying that when you get into men's football, it becomes really results driven. So therefore,
stop then.
I think that's...
If it's not enjoyable.
Does it become results driven then? Like, is that when it becomes... Because I would say that football in general in grass, like throughout, becomes very results driven very early, like with young children playing. I think it's very rare.
Not if I coached, not when I coach. So if I'm taking an under 14s team, so if I have a son or daughter and they then want to grow up and play for a team, I might then end up coaching them under 14s way into the future. If I'm leading that team, then my focus will be on fun, enjoyment, developing a long-lasting love for the game, helping the children develop as young people as well as young footballers.
Sounds like you've got this all planned out. It's almost if you've got a baby on the way, maybe.
Well, I don't know if you know, Luke, but so I think as you get into, the older you get, the reason you picked a youth team is because it's the closest to the winning answer, which is a men's team.
No, I just think that
Or a women's
at
team.
that age, you have to deal with some pretty horrible stuff. Like it's least enjoyable because it is make or break. I think that's another good reason, Judge, is that it's.
So you're talking about it from like a professional team out of professional football club.
Yeah, just because grassroots football doesn't even really exist at under 17, 18s because they've all stopped because it's got too serious. So then what's even worse is then when you've got a group of youth team players that all think they're going to become a professional football player and they're not.
Yeah. Okay. I've taken both sides of the argument into account. You both argued your case, as always, very well. But point one of this episode is going to Johnny Martin.
Oh,
congratulations, Johnny. A little bit of a round of applause.
Thanks, guys.
John.
Thanks very much.
Great
Cheers,
debate,
Ollie.
guys. Really
Cheers,
enjoyed.
man.
We'll go straight in to subject two. Hopefully I'll be able to read this one. Not such a good spin.
Just raise your hand if you need me to read it for you, Luke.
The most important quality in a coach. Is that a subject we've had before? Or is that new?
Similar
Similar but new.
but new. Yeah.
Same but different.
I think quality is the most important word.
Yeah,
Quality.
I'd agree with that. James, I'm going to ask you first. You helped me so much with my reading, so that's appreciated.
No trouble. Anytime. Mine's a really simple one. It's just care. Because I think that covers off a lot of things. So you could talk about passion, enthusiasm, all the answers that Johnny's going to say. But care kind of summarises them all. Because if you care, you're passionate. If you care, you're enthusiastic. If you care, you put on a great experience and you put the fun and enjoyment at the forefront of everything that you do. Caring is the most important thing. You turn up on time. You're there before the children every week to set up. You create an environment that everyone absolutely loves. Caring about something is always the most important thing, whether it's an employed role, whether it's something you do as a passion, a hobby. Football coaching for many in the grassroots game is a hobby. It's something that people enjoy, something they volunteer to do, and they do it because they care. Grassroots football, whilst we've been damning at times, is absolutely brilliant. There is a nationwide network of passionate and enthusiastic coaches that facilitate the game on a volunteer basis, and they do that fundamentally because they care, and therefore it is the number one quality that there should be in a coach.
That is an I could feel how much you cared about that answer.
Absolutely.
You know that you need to win this point to get it back to 1-1. Whereas the whole game's null and void.
Well, I think I've stepped up right at the key moment to try and
I'd agree
claim
with
my
that.
point and take it to a draw, inevitable draw.
Do you want to answer, John, or you just...
Well, there's sort of no point because
No, go
whatever
on.
happens, it's
Concede.
going to be a draw.
No, come on.
But James's point was fantastic. I'm going to go for caring.
Oh, okay. I see what you've done there. Caring.
Don't get it. Go on, carry on.
No, I think for me, I think James makes a very, very good point, and it's going to be very challenging to overcome that. I think I'll probably go for personable. I think lots of the things that you spoke around as well, because
You've got to care to be personal.
Yeah.
Well,
you have to.
If you don't care, you can't just turn it on and pretend to be personal.
You've
You
got
could
to
be
be personal
personable
to
without
care.
caring, I think.
Well, that's what it comes down to.
No, exactly. That's what I'm trying to say.
I think, I think caring is, or being a careful person? No, that's wrong.
No, that's different.
Being a caring person and caring is key. So I agree with you, James.
No. You've got to have one yourself, though. What is it, personable?
Personable, yeah, but I think it's all encompassing what James has said. He's tied me up in knots, Luke. I've got to the stand and...
In fact, I'd go as far as to say that's one of the best answers we've ever had.
Is it worth 2 points?
No, nothing's worth 2 points.
Ollie, can I give 2 points?
Ollie? Go for it. If he wants to give 2 points, Ollie
Hold on,
says he can.
If that's the case, I'm going to give a proper answer.
Well, that's what we sort of wanted
Come
to do anyway.
Sorry,
I don't really get the game.
Oh, what is it? Personable?
Fun and engaging and enthusiastic. I think James's answer is worthy of 1 point, but is very worthy.
But Judge, if you want to give 2.
No, okay. I'm going to sum up here before the final subject. I think it's a fantastic answer. I'm not going to move the goalposts. I'm not going to change the rule. Just 1 point. And most excitingly of all, it makes it 1-1 going to the final
That is
round.
exciting.
Oh, fantastic.
Who's ready for the last subject?
Spin.
Nice spin. Oh. What is the best thing about Academy Football James cutting?
Pride.
What are you going to say? Caring?
No. Well, that's just all encompassing. Pride comes underneath caring. Caring is just an umbrella for everything, really.
Pride.
Pride.
A little bit more?
So I just think it's such an incredibly proud moment as a parent to see your child participating for a professional club. I think that's an amazing thing. I think how a child feels is the most important thing in football. So whether it's feeling a sense of pride playing for a grassroots team, I think that's also true for that. But we coached academy football and we saw how much it meant to the children. We saw the best and the worst of it, and I'm sure we'll cover that. But one of the best things is just the sense of pride that the children in particular, the parents as well, and sometimes that can cause some challenges. Appreciate that. But the sense of pride that a child feels within their representation of a professional team, it's almost living out their dream, isn't it? It's for them, they are a footballer, and I just think that's an amazing feeling. One that I never experienced because I was never part of an academy, but I've seen lots of children that have been, and they're all so proud to put on the shirt, to play at the training ground, to represent their club against another team. I think it's brilliant.
Solid answer.
Nice.
John, what do you think?
Mine is the friendships
Nice.
built.
Yeah.
Just from my experience in academy football, where a group of children are working so closely with each other and they're all in it together, they're on the team bus together, they go away on tour together, they're in the changing room an hour before a fixture. It's then seeing their friendships sort of blossom and grow, and then also because a lot of them are there for 5, 10, 15 years, they're all in it together and go on that journey together and making friends literally for life. And also, I think the parents as well, they're on that same journey. They go to all the training, they go to all the fixtures, they're there on the sidelines, they're in the rain, snow, sun, all in it together. And I think that is the best thing because from my experiences, I've seen that some of the kids I coached when they were 10, I saw a picture of a few of the lads now 18, they don't play for the club anymore, but one does, one doesn't, and they're in a photo together. And then also the parents are all connected. You see them share old pictures and comment on it together. I think that's the best thing for me.
And do you think that the friendships that are developed within that environment are then sort of stronger, more powerful than other friendships that are... The reason I ask that is in terms of when obviously they start really young, if they go through the whole of that sort of journey, it can become what I've seen, some competition because of the place, and then maybe the relationships are sort of affected by that in some way.
Yeah, I think probably more often than not, they're in the same boat, they're in the same journey together. Of course, they might be trying to go for one position, like goalkeepers, but even your son's a goalie, Luke, the other goalies that he trains with, although that they're competing for one position, because you're with that person so often, and you're around them so often, training together, supporting each other, I think it creates for a really positive environment where some brilliant friendships are made.
Just one more question on that. Obviously, such a powerful thing, like making friends within football, within that environment. But do you think that makes it even worse sometimes when, for some children, it comes to the end of their journey, and then obviously the time that they're spending with these friends that they've made, and it makes it even harder?
Yeah, definitely. That is a drawback to academy football, in that you are with a group of lads potentially for 10 years and then you don't make it and you don't then get the next contract as such. But like I said, there's a photo of 2 lads. One is youth team player at Cambridge. one lad got released when he was probably under 12, under 13. And the fact that they were in the picture together, like a lot of that friendship would have come from those early years together, those first 4 or 5 years when they were 9 through to that age. So, friendship.
Two strong answers. Johnny, do you want to question James on pride? Anything you want to say on that?
Do you think that a parent or a child will still get the same element of pride if they pull on a Melbourne Dynamos?
Tigers for me, Dynamos now.
Melbourne Tigers.
When was the rebrand out of interest?
No, you don't ask.
Sore subject. He's not happy about it. I think there's a level of pride. To throw that back at you, do you feel that the friendships generated through grassroots football are akin to those developed through
not as strong
academy?
Just because of the amount of hours. So with academy football, there's probably more pressures, more experiences they go through together. In that they're both on the same page. They need to try and get a contract at the end of the year. The parents are going through the same stresses, and whereas in grassroots football you probably don't have that as much. And then also like things like tours where the kids are spending 3-4 days with each other, the parents are spending 3-4 training nights a week with each other. So I think because of the time spent together, the friendships are burn brighter in academy football.
So whilst I agree with that, I think there's one thing that you've overlooked.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I know what you're
Ready
gonna
for
say.
some big questions, Judge?
Hold on, I'm going to be asking you questions.
If is this okay, Judge? You happy?
Absolutely fine.
Yeah,
I'm
thank
going to have
you.
to stop it in about 2 minutes. But
That's fine.
Please carry
Cool.
on.
I'll use up the full 2 minutes so Johnny can't question me. In an academy team,
Yep.
how would you compare the geographic proximity between the academy players and a grassroots team?
That's the beauty of it.
How would you compare it, to answer the question?
So to answer your question, I think that academy football is great for that.
Well, just one sec.
I'm not sure that does
I just
answer
wanna-
the question.
So, just before you answer the question, because this is going back to a different subject, and you've spoke in depth, in detail, about that being a massive issue within academy football.
So if you let me finish.
Oh, apologies. You know I don't like doing that.
So with academy football, it brings together people from different communities. The way that the world is now, you can easily have relationships and friendships with people online through Call of Duty and all the other games that will FIFA and all the games that the kids play these days, WhatsApp and everything else. So I think there's actually a real positive to the fact that children are from different areas, from different communities that wouldn't normally have their paths cross through academy.
So I think there's definitely from the point of meeting where they wouldn't otherwise meet, in terms of forming friendships, I feel that they would benefit far more from those friends being local. So if you play for a grassroots team in a village in Melbourne and all the other kids are from Melbourne, I think that you're more likely
But the chances are you can have those friendships with people regardless of playing for Melbourne Tigers. So because you all live in the same village, so you can still go to the park, still play with those people, have those friendships. Whereas I think the different friendships. But going back to pride and the question that I asked you, do you think that it's akin to putting on a top for Tottenham Hotspur and Melbourne Dynamos for a
I think there's a far greater sense of pride because they're representing a professional club.
What's more important, pride or friendships?
Pride. That's why I said
Okay. That's enough. But no, James.
Luke will be the judge of that.
Exactly. Thank you very much. So I'm going to.
Luke will be the judge
That
of
used
that.
to be your catchphrase. I'll be the judge of that. Used to bang on the hammer back in the day.
Don't bang on the hammer.
Series
It's
one.
loud.
Let's roll back the clock.
Too loud.
Broken. Broken it. Just leave it. I'm going to draw my conclusions. You both argued your cases really well, and I am torn, to be honest with you, but I'm not going to sit on the fence and give it a draw. So I'm going to go back, as I always do, to think about my own personal experiences. Enough about me. Let's talk about me some more. So I am going to give this point because when I first played for a professional club and pulling on that shirt, and
Oh,
the
we know where
badge,
this is going.
it felt unbelievable for all the different teams that I played for.
Paul Scholes.
I was
David
always
Beckham.
socially inept, so I didn't really make friends that easily. So the winner of this point and this week's show is James Cutting.
Nice. Well done.
Well done, guys. Fantastic.
Great,
good
Fantastic.
call. Yeah.
But we're not finished yet.
Oh.
Hold your horses.
Oh.
It's time for, without doubt, the best bit of the podcast.
Yeah. Chadwick's quizzes.
Chadwick's quizzes. Let's go. Any questions today?
I've got a question. It's linked to what we were just talking about, pride and friendships. Trying to put words in your mouth.
Sounds interesting.
That's okay.
So what questions have you got for me today, guys?
No questions today, Luke.
Thank God for that.
Go on, I got one. So, obviously, you've pulled on a shirt for Manchester United. Must have been the most proud moment. How does that compare with pulling on a shirt for Cambridge United? Because I know that was your boyhood club and you kind of dreamed to play for the U's. How would you compare those two moments? Like Manchester United, that must have been so special. But does one outweigh the other? I'd be really intrigued to know.
Yeah, it's a brilliant question. I think, obviously, when I first pulled on a Manchester United shirt, I was 14, 15 years old, going up there for the first time and sort of, obviously, absolutely buzzing. But maybe sort of going through the journey, getting into the first team for a few games, then moving on, maybe took it a little bit for granted. I think when I got to the latter stages of my career, signed for Cambridge United, it probably felt a little bit more special because I knew my career was coming to an end, and this was something that I dreamed of doing since I was 7 years old and I first went to the Abbey Stadium to watch them play. So obviously not playing down the fact that I was lucky enough to pull on a Manchester United shirt, and something I'm incredibly proud of, but probably felt more special doing it for Cambridge because I knew that was a dream and it was sort of happening, and appreciated things a lot more in my later years, should we say.
Nice. Cheers, mate.
Nice. Following on from your question, James, in our previous round, who was your best friend from your time playing football?
My best friend. I mean, and this is something, and I do a lot of sort of reflection and look back at my football career, and I made like a number of fantastic relationships with players, with other people within them clubs, but probably never really kept in contact. I think, like, in terms of the industry of what football is, you're with people one day, you're at another club the next, and probably a regret of mine throughout my football career. There's probably a few people that I still stay in touch with now, but not really strong relationships that I've made, like in terms of friendships, and probably quite in a selfish way as well. I think football, obviously, you're part of a team, you do your best for the team, but at the same time, you're doing it for yourself to a certain extent, to get another contract, to stay in the game, to keep doing it. So I don't really want to make myself sound incredibly cold and unpopular or anything like that, but there's probably not many people that I've, within football, that I've made huge friendships with, if that makes sense.
Just go to your go-to answer, Luke. Scholesy and Bex.
Well, I mean, I'll still sort of sleep round Bex's house every now and again on a Friday night. We go out for pizza, we go to cinema and stuff like that. But no. So but like, cool. But the strange thing with, sorry to go on, like when you see teammates that you haven't seen for 10 years, something like that, there's an immediate connection there. There's no sort of awkwardness, and it's like you've not been apart.
Yeah. Well, that's why I should have won the last round about friendships, is because you can play with someone for 3 years and then never see them again for 10, and then bump into them in the street, and it just, all those memories come flooding back, that it feels like you were the same friends as you were 10 years ago, and that's the beauty of it.
But I don't think you would have made those friendships without the pride of playing in that particular
Very good.
Thank you for the questions, guys. Thank you for listening and watching today, and that's another episode of the Football Fun Factory podcast. See you again soon.